Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the AMPM podcast. I'm Keegan.
And I'm Liam, and this is episode 1. We hope you enjoy.
Space exploration business is about to start popping off.
No, yeah, I think it's gonna be definitely a good thing because
Yeah,
I don't know, like I don't know about the whole like Mars thing. I don't know where you stand on that. I don't know if I completely am like we we need to get there as soon as possible. I think it's cool, but I think space exploration in general kind of just helps us understand more about our universe and stuff, and I think it's gonna like kind of accelerate our technology, or it's gonna be like the
yeah,
the next thing that's gonna it's like our next project that's gonna want to make us accelerate our technology.
yeah. I feel that. I think I'm all for just like going for I think Mars. That's a cool goal. I think that would be really awesome. To be honest, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, here's the thing: is like they're focusing on they're just pumping money into NASA right now. I don't know if it's like they're trying to mm, what do you call it? Make it less public, like keep it like a public thing with like the government and NASA, and instead of like allowing it to like devolve into like a private because now like Jeff Bezos, he's got his own um like space SpaceX type company that he's got going on. I think he actually got like a contract from uh the government
Yeah.
like in the United States to I think it's to do something with the moon. I might have to look that up, but it's like I think that is really cool. I think space is like, especially like our local like solar system has like
Mhm.
a lot of like valuable materials and stuff. I've always been like hugely interested in asteroid mining. I think that would be awesome. Like moving a lot of like this uh, damaging industry off the planet and
Yeah.
into space. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, actually that's a good idea actually. Never thought of that.
well, yeah, I think, listen, I'm I'm all for it, just like putting all the bad shit in space. It's like
Yeah,
they always say
if you
about
could
just
find a way to do
launching.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like just launch all the fucking nasty shit into space. Like you could, you know, get a lot of industry up there. If I think establishing like a moon base so that we could start like because there's a whole lot of ideas of like, if they establish like a base on the moon, then that would be a good spot for them to like refuel ships, and then that way there's a lot less, um, you know, engineering that has to be done to get those rockets out of the atmosphere and into space. Like if it's
Yeah.
already in space, then there's a lot less infrastructure that needs to be there to
Well,
like
it's
make a
like
rocket.
literally like an outpost. You just
Yeah,
you kind of land like you just have to get to the moon, and once you're on the moon, that's when your real like that's when the real exploration starts. It's like if you want to get
yeah,
to Mars, just go to the moon first, and then you have all your bits and pieces, and let's say you basically upgrade your rocket on the moon, and then it gets you to Mars and it gets you back.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah, I think there's been some ideas of like using the moon as like a slingshot almost. Like
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
you have yeah, you have like a permanent base on the moon,
yeah,
and so you like launch your ships up there, you orbit around the moon, you get them like refueled and all this stuff into space, and
yeah.
then we are thinking about using um big or planetary bodies like Saturn and stuff, and like using those as slingshots. I think it's cool. I think
Man,
it's
think
all
about
like
that though.
awesome.
Using like an entire like I get the moon, but like think about an entire planet. Using that,
Yeah,
like going around that, trying to fling yourself out further.
yeah. I watched a lot of videos about this like a couple months ago, and it was just like a super cool idea. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think my the biggest thing that I'm interested in is moving like a lot of like heavy industry and stuff off the planet, because that's where a lot of the exploitation of the planet's resources and stuff is coming from. I think it's not our best bet for um, you know, helping with climate change, global warming, all this stuff. But it's like what we heard in that presentation from uh, that guy who came. I forget his name or what organization he was from. I signed up to
Yeah,
the newsletter.
Carl. I don't know how to
Carl,
say his
yeah.
last name, but yeah.
When Carl came in, he was talking about how like there's like it's not going to be one technology that saves us. It's going to be all sorts of different technologies and all sorts of different industries and sectors and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think, I think people are too quick to dismiss space as like, ignoring what's going on here on Earth. It's like it's not like we're dedicating 100% of our of our energy towards, a big dick measuring contest in space like it was in like the Cold War. I think it's more
Yeah.
so like if we have some resources going towards, analyzing, potential solutions in
Mhm.
space. And it's like if we don't put money into it, then it's never going to happen anyway.
Yeah,
It's
for
like
sure.
there's this. I think I mentioned it to you a while ago. It was like cold fusion or like fusion reactors. I mean,
Yeah.
those we could have had those like within a couple years from now. Like if we had started like putting the money into it back in like the 70s, but considering it wasn't like profitable oil and all this stuff that they were just like kept reducing the funding, and right now it's like never gonna happen.
Yeah. Which, and I mean, I think you've heard, or at least I've heard of like the US specifically, they put like all this money into their military and into their industry and whatever, and then you go and look at NASA and space exploration, it's like 1% of that. It's like nothing,
Yeah,
which is just
it,
it's crazy.
it is. It's so funny because it's like kind of it's so diabolical when you think about it. The amount it really feels like some corny movie villain, considering like this all this like negative stuff that comes from what they do, and yet they keep doing it just because it's profitable. It's
Yeah.
just so funny. It's
Yeah.
it's like straight out of a fucking Disney movie.
No, really though.
It is. It's hilarious. But yeah, no, it's yeah, it's cool.
And then there
I wanted.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I wanted to talk about some of the videos we watched last night because I just thought those were super funny and interesting. I was thinking about it today in the shower.
Yeah, what videos do you want to talk about?
Well, I just wanted to say, like, I thought like it was it was just such an interesting trip now down like memory lane for me,
Yeah.
like seeing all these YouTube videos, like obviously for you too, but I know like for me, like I remember like when all these videos were blowing up was like
Yeah.
right when I was getting into YouTube and stuff around like 2000 late 2009 to 2011 was like when I was really like I'd come home and I'd sit down at my old shitty laptop
Yeah.
that my sister and I shared, and I would just like watch all sorts of videos and stuff,
Yeah.
and it was so cool, and I just like the amount of nostalgia that came from that. Uh, it was amazing. But I think I mentioned it to you last night was I thought it was so cool in some of the videos that we watched. You
Mhm.
could see like the proto versions of like the humor that we have now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw that especially, the Mario Kart and furiously masturbating that
Yeah,
that video.
that one, yeah. That
I was like, this
definitely that is definitely something you would see today. Or at
I
least,
know like
something that would spiral from that would be some sort of comedy today.
yeah, I was like that's like something that would be made, you know, something similar to that would be made today, but there's something about it that just didn't connect in the same way as something that, would be made today would be. You know what I mean? There was a
Yeah.
certain element to it that I couldn't put my
Yeah.
finger on that just didn't land
M-
less funny.
Maybe it was the poor video quality.
Yeah. It's like the 244. or
Yeah,
260p.
yeah. If
Oh
it
my
was
god.
polished a little bit and it was a little bit more sporadic, it might qualify as a piece of comedy that is actually up to today's standards. But I don't know what today's standards is because like today's standards is pretty terrible
All
if you
videos,
really look at it. So
all videos gotta be 4K. It
4K
depends.
and you're not really supposed to know what's going on.
Yeah. It's got to be like the entertainment factor has got to be there, and then at that point, I think it's like the more entertaining it is, the crappier the quality of the video can be.
Yeah,
You know, if it
that's
looks
true.
like trash but it's funny, like I'll watch it.
No, yeah, I can agree with that.
I had this. I feel like that's like it's kind of like how porn works. You're digging through like the depths, and you're like you find one video. It's like this hits all of the right spots, but it looks like it was filmed in like the 80s on a VHS recorder, and the VHS tape has been worn down, dude. It's like skipping and shit.
Sounds kind of sus, honestly. I don't know what.
Yeah, mega sus. That shit is like
I
I don't
think
know where
Pornhub got
the
rid of all
worst.
those videos.
It's like too. This is too sketchy, man.
and then you have I mean the pomp video that I've heard it in memes like in today's memes, but I have
Yeah.
never I never knew that it that it had that the lyrics behind it were so I don't even know what to say. Very sexual.
Yeah. Like I said last night, the chorus came on, and I just straight up did like the negative pog face. I was just like, this note I gave. It's the only way I could
Man,
describe it.
anytime you say pog face, I can only think of something that isn't negative. Like, I can only think of Pog Champ and the
You can
song
only think
coming on, and it's like, and you're just like, bro.
it's just man, like at like the worst times, just shouting pog and doing the face, like oh shit.
And then oh, the best part about all those videos too were the comments. Like,
Yeah, man.
and they were like very like most of them are very similar too. Like most of the comments are
Yeah,
very similar.
dude, bunch of fucking YouTube comedians.
Like I
Y-
think you said like one that you would frequently see is like the if you're here you're a veteran or you deserve the
Yeah,
veteran discount.
yeah,
That's true.
those were everywhere. It was amazing.
And
But
I think the video that really gave me nostalgia was that stormtrooper that was humping to I don't even know what song it was, but
uh, yeah, the ba da 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 da
yeah,
da.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Dude, that
Just
was
because I
everywhere.
remember watching like a lot of React videos when I was a kid,
Yeah,
and like again, somebody in the comments said like, yeah, this is like in every React video back in the day, and it's like it was, and it was funny as shit. And I mean, we were
yeah.
talking about it, and it's like it's just not anymore. It's, it
I
is
I think I
so.
can remember like fucking Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or someone doing it, try not to laugh, and that video came up and they were struggling. I was like, how?
Yeah,
Where,
exactly.
where's the humor here? I think, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. And then there's some videos there that were hilarious that I don't, I guess they were just universally hilarious. Like, the one with the guy who's giving the advice, Chris Chan.
Yep.
I don't know if you ever heard of Chris Chan, but he's
Never.
like he made like this comic called Sonichu, and he was like it's crazy. He's insane. But yeah, that was hilarious because it was just so out of nowhere. It just drops on you.
Mm-hmm.
He's like he's just talking. You at the start, it's like okay, this is going to be some cool insight because you're this like high functioning autistic guy. He's 25. He's like, I'm going to give you guys some advice, And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. I
And
let my
yeah,
guard
it
completely
was.
down.
It was at the beginning.
I don't know why I let my guard down in that fucking playlist because it was I knew I should have known that it was gonna be some weird messed up shit, but I was just like I completely let my guard down and I was like, oh, this is gonna be, this might be like interesting to watch. So we're going through it. He's giving like some decent advice. He's like, school isn't torture, enjoy school and shit. And then it keeps going and it gets a little weird with like the toys, like play with like, play with the girls' toys if you're a guy to get to know them better. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then it slowly just devolves into him like completely just like, yeah, be
Be
straight,
straight. Be straight.
be straight or risk the fate of humanity.
That's what caught me. Okay, and even like the ending wasn't that as bad as compared to that like middle part where he's like, "Be straight," or the entire fate of human, or he's like, "Be straight because the entire fate of humanity rides on it," or something like that. And it's
Yeah,
like,
he's like, we
bro,
humanity needs this. I'm like, oh shit, okay. It's like, and when he's emphasizing, he's like girls with the boys. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
when he first starts doing it, you're like, oh, is this like, hold on, just wait a minute. Is he trying to drop some like
yeah.
homophobic knowledge on us? And then he goes full into it. And I was just like floored, dude.
I mean,
But
at least it wasn't subliminal all the way through. You know, he
yeah,
wasn't like dropping hints. Like he just like straight out came out and say like, "Be straight. It's the only way to go." Like,
yeah, it was ultimate. I don't know if it could have been more funny if it was more subliminal. Like if he was just trying to like
yeah,
put a wink, wink,
actually,
nudge, nudge at you.
yeah,
But
you're true. That's right.
but I was thinking like, you know, why is that so funny? But I was thinking like if anything else, like I could see that being like a thing now. But if a show like I was thinking like if SNL tried to do that, then it would absolutely bomb, you know,
Yeah,
because I don't like I guess it was like just like the fact that the delivery of it and the format that it's in, it's just a YouTube video that some guy drops, it's
hmm
not like you're expecting it. But I don't know. I don't know what made that in particular funny compared to like, you know, anything else that was in the playlist and why I thought it wouldn't be funny in any other circumstance.
it was. I think it was just like the setup. Like you said again, it's like this guy comes on. He's like, "Yeah, I have high functioning autism," and it's like, it's like one of those like really crappy old recordings. He's like out in the yard with his car,
Yeah.
like facing his
Yeah.
house, and
He's got the
he
graduation
starts just
gown
like
on.
talking, and you're like, oh, this is normal. This is pretty normal. And then it just starts to slowly devolve, and then he just drops the bomb on you, and I think that's like that's almost close to the type of humor that we have now.
Yeah, it was like some Eric Andre type shit.
Yeah,
Maybe less surreal, but
it wasn't as crazy, but it was just enough that it was like, okay, this is like funny, but it's also like like let's
yeah,
slow it down a second, okay?
yeah. It's like, yeah, it was just funny as hell. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And then another one, right? Because right after that one, they were like the dryer one where they throw the brick in the dryer. That one was
Yeah.
nostalgic for me because I remember watching those videos all the time too. That
Oh
was
yeah,
like
me
a
too.
thing. That was like a thing that I'd watch a lot. People destroying dryers with bricks.
But yeah, it's weird like how the zeitgeist changes. Because will it blend? People in the video of like will it blend for like the marbles?
Yeah.
I don't know if they just picked that as like a just like a random video to like show off will it
Yeah,
blend
you could have
for everybody,
literally
but
put in any Will It Blend video, and I would have been like,
yeah.
"Yeah, I remember watching this."
It's like why was that like such popular content back in the day? It's such a nothing, or like will it microwave? I used to watch some of those videos.
Will It
Like why?
Microwave?
Yeah, they had
That's
like a whole
awesome.
chamber and they would put stuff in microwaves and
Yeah.
it was amazing, but it's like, why was that type of content? It was just such nothing, mindless content so popular, and then now, it's, I don't know, not, I wouldn't say more intellectual, but
No.
like, why has the I would definitely not say more intellectual. I think we're on the same playing field there, but I don't know why it, like, the whole zeitgeist changed in like what direction it took. It's like, why did we go from, like, the troll face rage comic memes to what we have now with like the me and the boys at 3 a.m. looking for beans.
It's like it's so I don't know. I don't even know what you call humor now. Because it's like a lot of people make the joke, "Oh, it's like a bunch of people laughing at the letter E or a bunch of people laughing at chimneys." I think it's just like the idea that it's something like so like beyond like regular humor. Like it's just
Yeah.
so stupid that it's funny. It's so terrible. It's so bad that it's good. It's so bad that it's good.
I think it's just surrealist. I think that's the only way that I could describe it, is like it's like a resurgence of like surrealist humor. I think that's what everyone,
Yeah,
because it's
I
like
can agree. Yeah.
to challenge like the world that we live in today, which is pretty, absurd and kind of like awful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to cope with that, it's hard to like laugh at any of like this regular like SNL type humor where it's like, oh, haha, same type of shit, like, or like Jimmy Kimmel, that kind of stuff, it's a lot more fun to laugh at,
Chaos.
stuff that, yeah, chaos, because that's what you kind of relate to right now. It's like the chaotic nature of like some of the memes and the videos and stuff. I'm Yeah, I'm not sure why,
Not yeah.
but it's an interesting, it's a weird development.
It
But
really though.
like, I this kind of thing, maybe not on like such a large scale, but this kind of thing came out of like after World War I in Europe. There was a huge movement called Dadaism
Mm-hmm.
in the art world.
Oh yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that was all like surrealist art,
Yeah.
that and like humor and stuff that came out of that. And a lot of people said that it was because like after World War I, it was such a devastating time, and nobody really knew how to cope, and like wanted to, go back to like the old type of humor and all that stuff. You know, that kind of humor took over in place, and it allowed for expression as well of like how absurd the world around them is. It's like, wow, dude, like we just went through 4 years of like constant devastation and hell, like
Yeah.
tons of people died. And now I'm not going to compare like what we have nowadays to like World War I, but I feel like that kind of feeling of despair is producing some of that, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially with the rise of the internet and social media, and more people you're getting exposed to like, I don't want to say terrible things on a basis, but with social media and with the like the news being like quite broad and you can access it anywhere you want, you're going to be exposed to more good news and you're going to be exposed to more bad news. And I think, when you're exposed to a lot of bad news, it almost kind of creates that a feeling of chaos in your life, even though it may not be happening literally around you in your local area. It just kind of feels like everything is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the connectivity probably has a lot to do with it, because you're being exposed to all sorts of like history and knowledge
Yeah.
and stuff from all around the world. What's gonna you can communicate with some like random fat ass dude from Japan, you know, while you're sitting in your basement in like rural ass Canada, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
It like that amount of connectivity has got to like spawn some absurd types of humor to kind of like understand and communicate.
Well,
I think
well,
humor has a lot
like
of,
you put it that way, and it's almost like if you think about it, it's almost unbelievable that we can do that. That
It
we're able to,
is.
so maybe that's where some of the chaos comes from, is just
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine that we're actually able to do something like that. So
Yeah. And humor as like a form of communication. I feel like I'm not sure if I would say surrealism is like humor like boiled down to its basis concepts because it's kind of like hard to understand, but I don't
yeah.
know, there's just something like everybody I think finds the memes that are popular now funny,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like you can kind of like share those memes across like cultural borders for the most part and people will be like that's objectively funny, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Well, then literally you could just call it an art form at that point, because it's like similar to, if you show a piece of art to somebody on let's say in America, and then you show a piece of art to somebody in Europe. I mean, they're obviously going to have different perceptions of what the art means, but they still get the artist still was able to share the same emotion that he wanted with the like the two different groups of people. So it's like no
Yeah.
different. It's no different than a meme. It's like I can create something funny, and although like what you think is funny may be different from what somebody else thinks is funny, those two groups of people can still look at it and be like, okay, this is supposed to be a piece of humor,
Yeah.
which is
I
it's
think
it's kind of cool. I think art kind of brings people together in that way.
absolutely. I think that you could consider like memes art.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I don't know, like I'm not gonna like judge and say like, oh, like some art is better than others. I think people have like different tastes and enjoy different types of art and like uh ways of communicating those ideas and stuff. I think memes for me, I think the way I could see them, I would see them at like the same level as like I don't know, like cartoons that you'd see in the newspaper or like
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it.
or like it reminds me of like I don't know, like graffiti as well.
Yep.
It's just like common like local jokes a little bit, but less local and more like internet wide
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's like yeah, it's like virtual graffiti in a way.
Yeah, virtual graffiti memes, shit posting.
Yeah. That's what shitposting is virtual graffiti.
Virtual graffiti.
Not all memes are equal.
Not- that's true.
Yeah. The oh stinky, that's virtual. That's
That's
that's virtual
virtual
graffiti.
graffiti.
Nobody wants to see that shit. And yet it's everywhere. Yeah, it's a way to tag. It's a way to make your mark, and like communicate your humor and all this stuff to other people and share it.
Yeah,
There's a reason people would tag their shit on like very obvious places. It's like everybody look at like this funny word or something, this slang. Or like back in the day with like political cartoons, I think. I think it's all kind of on the same level.
and
Yeah.
we went through like um like right now we're in like an era. I'm gonna say era, but in like of chaos, like with the memes and stuff. But then I think back to a couple of years ago, and it wasn't so much chaos as it was like trying to be as edgy as possible, and the whole like loud is funny thing,
Yeah.
which at the time like it was funny, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just
It's
kind of crazy to see how in only, I don't know, whatever it is, 4 or 5 years, we've gone from something like that to a completely different thing. Like it's not a very long amount of time, I guess, is what I'm saying,
yeah.
is the
Maybe this is a
shift.
result. Maybe this is a result of our own maturation. You know what I mean? Like we've grown up only knowing the internet. And I'm not saying that the trends that we see now are, changing only because we're getting old. Because, the world is a lot bigger than just our generation. But I wonder like what kids will think of like the internet now, the kids who are watching like Fortnite compilations in morgues. uh I wonder what they're gonna say about like, because I can say like I remember there's like three distinct worlds of the internet that I can remember, and that was like the early when I was first getting onto it, like 2008 to 2012, 2013 era, where it was like random equals funny,
Yeah.
just be random, and that's hilarious.
That's
And then
true. Yeah.
like the 2014 ish to like 2017, maybe 2018 era,
Mhm.
where maybe 2018 is a little too late, but like it was like being edgy,
Yeah.
like that was the shit. Like be as edgy and like you said, loud and shit. Be
Yeah.
just disruptive and be an asshole. Like that's hilarious. Uh, and then now, I don't know. I'm not as big into like just like internet culture anymore, but I found like it's a lot more, like I said before, like I've enjoyed like a lot more like surreal kind of humor, and like I still look at like memes on Instagram and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's like different now. It's not, the edgy stuff isn't as popular, you know.
No, yeah.
You won't see as many 9/11 memes as you will like memes about like just rap music
Yeah.
and boxing.
And boxing right now especially.
Oh my god, dude. That Jake Paul fight,
I never even
you gotta send
watched
to
it.
me.
I never even watched it, but
Dude, I didn't watch it either, but I woke up this morning and I was brushing my teeth and I was looking through my phone and I was like, "Oh shit, the fight happened last night. I wonder if that guy won." I'd seen a picture of him last night. The dude, someone commented, he's like, he's got the ET build going. He looks like a fucking, he looked like the ET. But oh man, I was like, he's not gonna do great, is he? And lo and behold, Jake Paul kicked his ass.
I
I
thought
can't.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, I can't blame him for, people were saying that he was walking off with a smile on his face. That's a
Yeah.
500K payout that he made from that fight, and apparently it was short, like it was a really short match.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, shit, dude, like, I don't know, I don't think I'd care if I got my ass kicked by some like annoying piece of shit if I made 500K from it, and
No,
it
or
was like,
yeah. No, I think and I mean that's kind of there's like this criticism about boxing that's been going around. It's like, boxing has only been like it's only gotten progressively worse in terms of people are just fighting now for money and it's not really about like titles and like any like clout. It's more just about how much money can we make from this one match? Like how much hype can we
yeah,
build around this one match to get tickets sold, to get merchandise sold, and so on and so forth. It's like nobody really cares about the actual concept of two athletes going in and like duking it out at the highest level. It's just like, yeah, how much money can we make from two people knocking each other out
yeah.
pretty much?
It's like a new version of wrestling almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think it kind of came from the fact that like, like Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan became such a big presence. I know he's not related to boxing as much as he is like UFC and MMA
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But I think that Joe Rogan existing and being as big as he is kind of brought that community into light in the internet. He kind of allowed a lot of people to get into UFC and MMA through him. And then, of course, that all kind of like led to fighting becoming, you know, fighting in general is just entertaining to watch. Like people love watching bum fights on YouTube and shit, but like watching like professional athletes going at it, I think that just became really popular for the sake of, not just what it is, but also like Joe Rogan existing.
Yeah,
And so
I could see that. Yep.
and so it became like this big, I don't know if it's the right word, but I'd say it's like almost commodified in a way. It's like just became like this popular way of just like it's the new like uh bar game to watch. You know what I mean? You throw on the TV
Yeah.
and instead of watching like darts or some shit, they watch UFC
Yeah.
or football or something. You know?
Yeah. No,
But yeah,
I literally just looked in our group chat when I woke up, and well, kind of like you said, and like that was the. I mean, I kind of wanted to watch it, but I was like, I don't know, because we watched the KSI, was it KSI Logan Paul one? Well, we watched the first one and the second one actually, but the second one I didn't have to pay for. But
yeah.
anyway, and they were both kind of like, it was like good, but it wasn't. I don't know.
Wasn't
I'd
over
rather
the
pay
top.
my $65 and go and watch my full UFC event than watch a bunch of content creators fight each other for
Yeah,
for see. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing too, if you think about it, because that very first fight with Logan Paul and KSI, most of those guys were content creators, just like getting on the bandwagon. So
yeah. It's just like
like
people build up like a hatred for people and other content creators, and all the communities have like beef with one another. And then all the content creators themselves realize it's like, oh, I know what's happening right now. Like I
yeah.
know how we can cash in. What if we just, go ahead and beat the shit out of each other in front of all these people, and then we'll make bank off of it.
We'll make a bunch of money from the fight. We'll get a bunch of publicity. It's like people going on to Shark Tank. It's like
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I got a product and it might be absolute ass, but it doesn't matter because I'm going on Shark Tank. It's gonna get aired on TV, and it's a bonus if I get backed by these investors. But other than that, like the I get a bunch of publicity from it. It's no different.
yeah,
And like again, I think that's just I don't know if that's a good thing for, well, maybe it is for entertainment, but I don't know if it is for the sport. But
no,
I don't know. I've never been big into boxing. I like, obviously football is a big sport of
yeah,
mine, but and I do like watching UFC from time to time, but and like you
yeah,
just said, and the reason because I've kind of got into the UFC a little more is Joe Rogan. I'm not gonna lie, like listening to his stuff, listening to his analysis of different fights, and talking to different fighters. Especially he had an interview with Herb Dean, who is one of the UFC referees, and it's just like really interesting some of the stuff he was saying, and also like the whole like meditation thing and like getting into a better mindset. He's talked about that stuff too, and then he's talked about martial arts kind of being an outlet for some people as well, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, it's really interesting. So I've kind of gotten into the martial arts stuff that way. So, and
yeah.
I've thought about getting into some sort of like jujitsu thing, but I don't know. I don't know if it'd be for me. I think I'd just rather stick to watching the fights.
Do kickboxing.
Yeah, yeah. Kickboxing. That would probably be the last thing I would do. That just that just
Yeah,
scare. I would do
definitely.
boxing over kickboxing.
Dude, yeah, man. Legs, those things will fuck you up.
Yeah, well, there was this one thing I was seeing. It was like Muay Thai in Thailand, and it's like crazy down there. Like people are
Yeah.
like that's what they live for. They live for that shit. Like they live for Muay Thai. And it's wild because like there's a couple of like little clips that I watch, and it's like they'll like kick a guy, and on his way down he'll get smacked in the head by another kick.
Oh my god.
Like it's wild, and it's a brutal sport over there. But like and I'm watching these clips, and the stadiums are like packed with people, like just packed, and they're like going wild. I think that would be the coolest thing to go to. One of those big stadiums, just like the you just feel the energy of the
I
crowd. It'd just be crazy.
yeah. I kind of wonder if like what the more popular that like fighting becomes for content creators to like profit off of and get like publicity from, I wonder if the more they get into it, the in a reverse of like instead of it becoming more complex, the fights get more simple, so that way more content creators can get into it, and then it ends up just being like, like the slap contests that you see from Russia.
Yeah.
One of those are gonna be like the next like huge thing where it's like Jake Paul in a slap fight with fucking, I don't know, Deji.
Yeah,
And it's just
I would love to see slap fighting become more mainstream. That
and
would
yeah,
be
they're gonna be
awesome.
like these like $500,000 events of like just two guys standing in front of a podium facing each other and just slapping the shit out of each other because it's like the lowest common denominator type of fighting. It's so easy. Everybody knows how to slap. Maybe not like that. Maybe not like enough to knock someone out like some people can, but like everybody, it's just strength, you know.
Yeah. And
So
it's not like sure there's technique, but I mean it's just one guy standing in front of the other guy trying to slap each other as hard as possible. Like it's not it takes no like movement really. Like you're not like
yeah,
dodging and weaving. You're just slapping each other. Like you said, everybody knows how to slap. Like
yeah. It's like there won't be like these months of training that you have to wait for after like they say like, oh, I'm gonna fight this guy.
yeah.
Now you have to wait 6 months and the hype's gonna die down. It's like, oh, I gotta train, I gotta get in shape and shit. It's like, no, just like say I'm gonna fight this guy, build up hype for a week, do the event, slap the shit out of each other, and then make bank and leave.
Dude, maybe that's how comedy's going, you know? Like it was complex and now it's just like not complex at all.
Yeah,
Like
maybe actually.
it's like the same thing.
Maybe I'm actually wrong too about the comedy being like more complex now. I think maybe it's becoming even more simple.
Maybe that's why it's so funny.
Yeah. It's just like monkeys flinging poo at each other.
It's just so easy to understand.
Yeah.
But
Man.
actually, you're right about the slap fighting thing now. Like you if people actually thought about it, like there's like no effort and it's still like entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Well, like I discovered it after fucking Charlie, Moist Critical.
Yeah, I
Fucking
think everybody, yeah, I think well not everybody, but I
yeah.
think most people did.
Isn't Charlie like one of the most subscribed? Like, isn't he like one of the most viewed Twitch streamers?
Maybe.
I I remember hearing like somewhere that for a while like he was the most subscribed or something like that. And then someone else came along recently and they
Yeah,
did
it
like
might be
a
yeah, it might be the
subathon.
most followers maybe. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Cuz I know like XQC like on a good day he'll get like 130,000 people watching him at one
Holy shit.
time. And I think I've seen Shroud get that too, but yeah, Charlie probably I it wouldn't surprise me if he's first for something like that, first for most followers, first for most subscribers or something like that.
Yeah,
Because
because he's
he's
I mean,
like his popularity has gone like way up in the past couple years, so
yeah, it's because like I wouldn't say that I was gonna say he's inoffensive, but it's not that he's inoffensive, but he is like, I don't know, he's just like the quintessential internet dude. You know what I mean? Like everyone can relate to this guy. He's just like some long-haired, sweaty dude who sits in his room and plays games and talks about internet shit. It's like everybody can relate to that. Everyone has fun watching him, and he's funny. He's funny as shit.
yeah, true, true. And
You know?
he usually doesn't have a bad take on things either. And I mean, and
Oh yeah,
when he does, he's able to like own up to it. You know, like he's never like. I mean, I think
yeah. He's like,
he literally had a video about like YouTuber apologies, and then he like came out with an apology, and I remember like seeing his comment section. And they're like, "Ah, 1 out of 10 didn't see your dog. You weren't crying, and all this stuff." It was like kind of a joke.
yeah, it was so uncontroversial.
Yeah,
But well, it's not it, but like he is. He's very uncontroversial because he's just such a good guy.
yeah, exactly.
He's just so decent. I think that's what I think that was like that's like the big key to his popularity. But yeah, man, I think slap fights. That's gonna be the next big. Those are gonna be juiced, man.
I
Like
I hope it
everybody,
is. That'd just be funny.
man. Give it a year or two.
Just like
Once boxing
seeing
dies
on TSN the
down.
slap fights.
Oh my god. Could you imagine some of these, like the announcers, dude? Like these are professional. Some of these guys are professional athletes. They came out of like playing the sports and putting all the skill and time and energy and training into like preparing themselves. And then they go on the shows to like announce and shit. And then they're like, they're like, oh, you guys are having me talk about slap fights? It's like so offensive. To, like everything else, it's like, oh, okay, so this is a sport now. Like just anything.
uh man.
I think, yeah, I think I will say slap fighting. Yeah, you can say that's a sport. I will allow
I
that,
yeah.
but I will say not all sports are created equal either. Just like memes, just like
Agreed,
memes.
agreed, yes.
I feel like it has to require like some type of like effort and training and
Well, I
to
mean, yeah, I just don't know how
get
you
that
would
respect.
like I don't know how you would train for slap.
I think you just get jacked. I
I
think that's the
yeah,
mentality.
I suppose. I mean, I could see because like when you watch the videos and you know and you see the guys are like winding up. So I don't know, maybe it's like in your shoulder, your wrist, and maybe your core.
Yeah,
But
grow a beard
I
too.
yeah, grow a beard, and I'm wondering because you see like the big Russian dude, what's his name, Vasily, I think.
Yeah, the
I
Grim
wonder,
fucking Reaper.
yeah, I wonder if like being as big as he is helps him with his power, or if like having a smaller frame but you're like ripped gives you more power in a slap fight.
Yeah, I think maybe like the denser you are, the more weight that you have and have. Like, I don't know. I
And
feel like it,
maybe the denser you are, the more defense you have as well. So like maybe we just see all these strong men come on with the big bellies
it's gonna be
because
like sumo wrestling.
yeah, yeah, American sumo wrestling.
I
Except
think
it's
sumo wrestling is
slapping.
cool. Yeah, and it's that's gonna be what it is, man. It just they they grow big ass beards so it cushions the slaps.
Vikings.
I don't. I
Techno
wonder if there's
Viking.
gonna be regulation. Yeah, Techno Viking. That guy was a badass. I feel like he would crush in a slap fight, destroy.
But yeah, you said you like sumo wrestling?
Yeah, I watched a few like short like 20-minute documentaries
Yeah.
about sumo wrestling recently, and I'm like, that's it's just really cool. But a lot of it is like rigged now. It's like all just like planned out. Like
Really?
there's like a view, yeah, there's like a top ring of like the top sumo wrestlers, and like all the get matches are like decided beforehand to keep them in power and stuff. There's a lot of money and stuff that goes into it, and there's a lot of corruption in the game.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
There's like a lot of
I do remember seeing. I think it might have been a video I recommended, or I was either searching for it because I remember one day I was looking because I mean I was looking at UFC stuff and then naturally it was kind of like oh sumo wrestling kind of interesting. Anyway,
yeah.
and I saw something. It was like there's this kid, and he's like 10 years old or something, and he's like 200 pounds or something crazy like that, and he's like a sumo wrestler, and he like looks up to this like really famous sumo wrestler, and he's like beating all these kids in his age group, and he's like gonna be like the next like big thing, and I think that's crazy. That's crazy. You're friggin' whatever it is, 10, 12 years old. You're 200 pounds and you know people can't even compete with you,
Yeah,
and maybe that's just
dude.
because you know like I don't you don't see it that much around here. I mean you do but you
Yeah.
don't, you know, so
You do, but not in the same way.
not in the
You
same
will
way.
see 200-pound 12-year-olds, but it's not athletic at all.
It's just like parents who let their kids go because they're like oh he'll he'll grow out of it. It's like I don't know if you can grow out of 200
Being
pounds of
obese.
fat. Like
You don't grow out of being obese, you grow into
you
it.
grow in, or you grow more of it.
Yeah, man. But it's like I feel like the perception of sumo wrestling is just like these guys eat a bunch of fucking KFC and then they push against each other. It's
Yeah.
like no, there's a lot of like athleticism. Like these are like
Oh
some
yeah.
healthy dudes.
Yeah.
Like
And
they
that
work
that's
the fuck
like
out and they eat a lot of healthy foods.
that's like I was
And
talking to my dad about this the other day. Um, a lot of people think, oh, you gotta be jacked to be healthy. You gotta have like 9-inch pythons. Like you gotta have these massive legs and like a 6 pack, and you gotta just be absolutely ripped. It's like no, like go and look at some of these like strong men who are doing like 3-ton lifts. All right, they got
yeah,
like these big bellies. I mean, they got muscle, but they got like these big bellies, and I mean, they got these big ass shoulders, these big ass legs, but they aren't ripped. They aren't ripped, but they are strong. They're
yeah,
freaking strong humans. But you don't have to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger to be healthy or to be super strong.
yeah,
It depends on what you want.
yeah. That's that because I was actually reading something related to that. That was from like that was the UFC or the boxing fight match against Jake Paul and the guy that I whose name I do not remember, but
Ben
um
Askren, I'm pretty sure.
Ben they mispronounced his name as he was going in. Apparently, they called him Ben Askren or something. Ben Askren. But that just goes to show how fucking sloppy that match was. They did not care. They're like, this is a fucking cash cow if I ever
that's
seen one.
that's what it was, bro.
We got Ben Askren and Jake Paul fight.
Enjoy.
Yeah, everybody enjoy. It's like the camera crew is like unfocused cameras, not even looking at the match. They're all drinking coffee in the corner. But no, yeah, it was related because I was reading it. It was they're talking about the match, and then in the comments, people were talking about how like the I forget what brought it up, but they're like, there's a basketball player. I forget his name, but he was a bench warmer in the NBA. And now he's retired. And after he retired, he in the NBA, he was already kind of he wasn't like the most like healthy looking dude. But now
Yeah.
that he's out, like he's got like quite a belly and everything. But he goes up against like college athletes, college basketball players, and he challenges them. He's like, "Hey, any one of you who thinks he can beat me, like I'll play you." And he will like he just absolutely fucking dunks on him
Yeah.
over and over again. And he's like, because you don't have to be for one, you don't have to like you said be absolutely ripped to be healthy,
Yeah.
but also the amount of skill and expertise in you know between like a college athlete and a pro athlete who is a bench warmer and that pro athlete who's a bench warmer and LeBron or something like that or MJ, like between MJ and the bench warmer, there is way less space than there is between the professional athlete and like a college athlete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I know what you mean.
You know? And so I think they were talking about how it's like Jake Paul. I think the context of it was they were talking about how like um, Ben Askren is like he's kind of like the bench warmer in this situation, and Jake Paul is just like the amateur kind of athlete coming up and coming. And
Yeah.
so now they're like, okay, Jake Paul is in like this kind of like bench warmer territory where he can go up against some of these guys, but he's not going to be able to go up against like a Floyd Mayweather type
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Now he's like he's approaching the prelims. Like
Yeah.
he could fight on some prelims if and be able to manage. He might not win, but he'd be able to manage.
Well, and the reason he picked Ben Askren or Askren, Ben Askren,
That
is
ad
because
screw.
Ben Askren is because he got the fucking, he could tell, like he wasn't like I forget what sport that or what fighting style Ben Askren does, but he's not a striker.
No, yeah, Ben came from the UFC. I never watched a lot of his fights. I mean, I think everybody just knows him because Jorge Masvidal uh
Yeah,
came out friggin' flying knee, quickest knockout in UFC history. Like I don't know if you've seen it, but it's wild. Like cause Ben was going into to do a takedown on Jorge, comes in just friggin' flying knee, and he's knocked out immediately as soon as the knee connects, and he's like on the mat like frozen, like wasn't even
yeah.
moving, like it's bad.
And then I remember reading somewhere that Ben Askren was talking about how Jorge he just got lucky, not in the sense that like oh like there was no like skill to that fight or anything, but like in the fact that like he got the quickest knockout in UFC history. But it's
Yeah,
the same as like it's like at that level where they're fighting. I don't know if they're like obviously like they're skilled dudes, but I don't know like how, compared to like some of the more popular fighters, I don't know how skilled they are. But I think at their level, it's much easier to get like the quickest knockout ever than it is at like a super high level with all these super high level
mm-hmm.
guys. So he was talking about how he got super lucky at that level, getting like quickest knockout ever, and then his popularity exploded from that. So now he's able to like do all this stuff, but he's not apparently that good of a fighter anyway. So I'm not well
Yeah.
versed in UFC, but this is just what I remember reading about. Was he was talking about how he's gonna get his ass beat now that he's trying to get into like the higher levels.
No, yeah, Masvidal's not a he's not a bad fighter. And again, I haven't watched a lot of his fights either. He's about to go into a title fight this weekend coming up, so we'll see. I don't think he's number one ranked fighter, but I have to agree with you though. With you'll see quicker knockouts in the lower levels than you will in the higher levels, because it makes sense if you think about it. Because if you're in a higher level, you're not getting knocked out in the first round in the
Yeah,
first 5 seconds of the fight, because you shouldn't be anyway, because you're battling at the highest level, so you
yeah,
should have
you're
some
trained.
survivability, right?
Yeah, you got the endurance, you got the skill, the knowledge that comes with like doing it for like however long you've done it. At the lower levels, there's these guys who are inexperienced, comparatively. They don't have as much skill comparatively to the higher levels. And so you go in, of course, it's going to be way easier to get like the quickest flying knee knockout ever, just out of like sheer, probability. At
Yeah,
some point, it had to happen, and it was probably going to happen in that level.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how he does going forward.
It's been an hour. We're at 58.
Man, I'd say this is a good
This
a good
this has
point to leave
been
off.
yeah, this has been a good conversation.
Yeah.
So I think I'll end her off here.
All right, sounds good.